up to you. Like, you don't go up to greet them, they come to you. Because this can mean a sense of, like, stepping on your foot, like, in the literal sense, or...
Well, if they come up to you, it's a different scenario. If you're walking into something knowing that you're going to get yourself in a situation and that, you know, your heart could be at jeopardy, I think it wouldn't be a wrong choice, maybe even wise, to maybe just avoid that scenario entirely. Like, you can still love him from the side, but you don't necessarily have to go straight into conflict where you know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if the conflict comes to you, then that's when you have to buckle down no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if you go in those situations, you still have to do your best, but you know, we're only human. I feel like there's a limit to how much we can actually forgive.
Yeah, I feel like when you're called to love somebody, like, you don't have to be their best friend, you know? You don't- You know?
Exactly.
Actually, Matthew 10:23 has a good thing to say about that. It says, "But when they persecute you in this city, flee ye to another." Which basically means you don't have to stick around to be persecuted, but you
Yeah.
can still love the person. It's
Yeah.
like, just because you're not staying to be persecuted doesn't mean you have stopped loving them.
Also, where does righteous anger come into play with all of this? Because in the Bible, there is so much righteous anger, and you know, even the apostles lashing out on the city or the people, like wiping their feet away and like having a little attitude with them, or you know, where does that play into forgiveness? Because
I would say anytime righteous anger comes into play would be when you're doing it for God's glory. Because I can give you an example is when Jesus, you know, turned over the tables in the temple. Like, usually that would be seen as, you know, a little reckless, a little malice intent, you know. But ultimately he was doing it to clear out God's house because his zeal was so great for the house of God that he couldn't stand seeing it in that state. And yeah, that's what I have to say about it.
what about, you know, you're babysitting your little brother and your little sister. Someone comes in, robs the house, is threatening to shoot both of them.
Okay.
And you know they will. How do you approach that situation? Because technically that's not fighting for God's glory, that's fighting for, you know, your family's safety, which is very important, but it's not God's glory.
Yeah.
So how would you go about that?
You would shoot them.
Yeah.
You'd kill them.
So there's other forms of righteous anger.
Well, that's not, you're not like angry, you're just defending yourself.
I'd be angry. I don't see anyone who wouldn't be
Okay,
angry in that situation.
being angry, just
I
the
would be.
feeling of being angry is not a sin. It is not a sin to be angry, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Correct.
Yeah, and it's not a sin to defend yourself.
That's so funny. I just talked to your mom about that the other day.
Really?
Yeah, literally this exact topic.
That's so
crazy.
funny, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's not a sin to defend yourself, it's not a sin to be angry. What is a sin is murder. That is premeditated malice. If you're doing that, that's a sin. But yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're acting out of anger, like someone sinned against you, right? And you have no reason to defend yourself, but you are angry and you act out of anger. Let's just say you punch a guy because he said something bad about you. That is a sin. That is not forgiveness. That is not love. So, yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
It's a good point, though. It's a good point. Because I feel like also some people would react differently in that scenario, too. Some people would be angry like you. I would be terrified. I would not be angry. I would be praying to the Lord that he would save me. I wouldn't be like, you know what I mean? Like different responses to, I think it all depends on the person and the situation. You know?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Matthew 5, 38 and 39?
We'll just go there.
I mean, we all know this one.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a good one, though.
Yeah. You've heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist the one who is evil. But if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also.
I mean, you heard.
So,
yeah.
So, is this scripture telling you not to defend yourself? What is it telling you?
It's telling you to forgive.
I think it's more so saying that it's not your battle. It's God's battle with that person, because you're not the one doing the wrong. you're taking it.
Yeah.
You're the one receiving the consequences of another person's decision.
Mhm.
But it's a spiritual battle that we're fighting, not a physical one.
Yes.
And so it's more so a battle between that person and God. That's how I view it. Is that it's more of a thing of like we kind of just gotta let it go because it's not really about us, you know.
Yeah.
And that justice will come, and that's a fact, and it's a promise that God ensures to keep. I mean, in situations like this, yeah, it sucks, and like
Mhm.
it kind of is like, you know, we have to really think about how we would respond. Yes, but I think that in the actual act, it's more about that other person and when they're gonna have to face God for what they've done.
Mhm.
You know. Yeah, but this is a great scripture that I really like. Yes. And it kind of seems like a what moment, like what?
Yeah.
Like literally wants us just to
Yeah. I mean,
slap me in,
yeah.
slap me again, bro. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It just kind of sounds like that, but I think it's more than that. Yeah.
I mean, you'll notice that, you know, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth is, you know, from the old law. It's, you know, it's
Yeah.
basically you're getting even. This is record of wrong. It's like you took my sheep, I'll take your sheep.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
That's what we're gonna do. And but the second part is like it's telling us you need to forgive as God has forgiven you.
Mm.
You know, I mean, God's been forgiving through the entire Bible, but
And
the
for our
Old-
whole lives.
yeah, and in the Old Testament, it's more of an equals thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, they even had sacrifices like you need to atone for your sin.
Yeah,
God's
yeah.
not gonna just forgive you. You know,
I
and
mean, it's almost saying like if somebody steals from you, give them more.
yeah, exactly.
them to
Yeah,
steal.
yeah,
Yeah. It's like, okay, you want to do that? Go ahead.
yeah,
You know.
pretty much.
Yeah.
But you know, does that answer your question? Like, what does it mean to fully forgive someone?
I think so.
Like, if we could go around the room and like say what like it means to fully forgive someone, and how do we know? Like, would you be able to do that?
Yeah, I think that more of the how do you know when you've fully forgiven someone? Because I think we covered a lot of what it means to fully forgive someone, but what does that look like maybe for us personally? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know, because I think I would like to hear from everybody how they think they would know. Because I know Ari asked me, but I wanted to hear from everybody else to see how you guys know for you personally, how you've fully forgiven someone. Or maybe if you haven't, but how do you go living life, you know, trying to forgive this person or these things? Because I know that there's certain things in our lives that are really heavy and really hard to forgive. But yeah, I just want to hear everybody else's kind of thoughts on it. Or if you haven't fully forgiven and that's okay, and how do you deal with that? You know, all those types of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like I come from a really like privileged perspective, so I feel like no one's sinned like really greatly against me at all. You know, just kind of like the average sins. You know, nothing that took a lot of effort to forgive most of the time. So like I don't know. For me, it's really easy to forgive people.
Yeah.
So I feel like I shouldn't be speaking for other people who have to forgive much greater sins against them. I don't know.
Have you ever had trouble forgiving yourself for something?
I can't think of anything right now.
That's okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Joseph?
I feel like conversation has swayed towards more so the reliance of self to forgive rather than relying on God to help you forgive people. Like there's a lot we can do to help, but a lot of those big, like really deep wounds can only be healed by God, and there's really nothing we can do about it.
Do you think the Spirit helps you with that?
100%. I feel like it's a 50-50, like it takes the intention and the effort, but also the reliance and the submission to God and the Spirit in order to fully forgive someone. Like there's only so much we can do, and we're not going to be perfect at it, so that's going to set us back even more so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like it almost takes a miracle in a sense to fully just wipe the roots out and be cleansed.
Mm-hmm. Jacob?
What's the question?
How do you know if you're fully forgiven someone?
think, at least from how I understand, is there's no way to 100% always fully forgive someone. But kind of like how it's mentioned in like the Matthew 18 scripture, like talking about how like forgiving is like you gotta forgive someone multiple times, and you basically just gotta infinitely forgive them. That it, especially for us, it's a lot harder to do that infinitely, and so a lot of times it might just be an uphill battle the rest of your life. But especially just having the heart to say, I'm trying to put the heart into wanting to forgive you, is like the biggest thing. So then you're able to build towards trying to forgive someone. I feel like when you have fully forgiven someone, you might have resentment towards someone still. You might not be able to be around them or interact with them the same way, but I feel like or a lot of times you're able to forgive someone, but it just in the end doesn't mean the same thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, and I feel like, okay, let me give you this little example. Do you know Corrie ten Boom?
No idea.
Okay, so she was in the Holocaust, and I mean she wasn't Jewish, but she helped Christians escape. She helped the Jews escape the Holocaust, and she had there's this one soldier that beat her and her sister, nearly killed her sister, and did terrible things to them. And after she escaped, he showed up to the church where she was speaking at.
Whoa.
No apology, nothing. He was just like, hi, and he went to shake her hand. Do you think she should have forgiven him? I mean, obviously she should have, but she definitely felt resentment in her heart. I'm sure she probably felt anger too. But do you think she should have just let go of those feelings? I mean, what do you think it would have meant for her to forgive that one soldier?
What did happen?
I just told you.
She went to go shake his hand?
She did. She shook his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did forgive him. Yeah.
Dang.
Mm-hmm. It is. It really is.
I was not expecting that.
No.
That's so crazy. Oh my god, just
I feel like
imagine
we
what
are
that
we
would
are
feel
very
like.
we are very spoiled.
Like, you
And
don't even know. He probably did bad. Anyways.
Yeah. No, I read an entire book on it. He did
Terrible.
horrible things.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, just shows up. Wow. I mean, I don't know. It would take a lot of strength for sure.
Absolutely. I just feel like here and now we have a hard time forgiving people who have committed small transgressions against us.
Yeah.
And to us they may feel terrible, awful.
Right.
But compared to that, it's very minuscule, And for her to forgive that, it must have taken a lot of strength, especially from the Spirit. Like you were saying, it's not all us, it's God too. So,
Yeah.
do you think that she, should have just completely just taken that out of the record of wrong
Mm.
and just forgotten all the torture that she went through?
I'm not saying that she forgot it.
Yeah.
I'm saying that what she did was the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
and even though she might never have a conversation with him, I don't know her background. I don't know what happened,
Mm-hmm.
but at least to be able to say, I forgive you, and not come to a point of I'm gonna come and shoot you next because this is what you did to me.
Yeah.
She was able to say, I know this whole past. I'm not holding the record of wrong, saying that whatever you did to me, I want to put punishment back on you. I have records from the past that even though they hurt, I'm willing to live with those hurts, but not have them be something that I will ever show. And no, that's a bad word. Something that I'm able to say, okay, that happened, and whatever you've done to me is okay.
Well, I mean, not necessarily okay.
No,
but,
but I'm saying that
Yeah.
like whatever.
Like she's not controlled by it anymore.